guys, it's Ingrid, and today I'm really excited because guess what we're making? Bacon, macaroni and cheese, and it's gonna be awesome. Macaroni and cheese is one of my favorites. It's a classic, and we're gonna be putting a spin on it today because this recipe does not require you to pre-cook the pasta, which is amazing. So I have the ingredients here. We are going to be using some milk, cottage cheese, grated cheddar cheese, brown rice pasta, but feel free to use whatever pasta you like. I just really like brown rice pasta, some cayenne pepper, regular salt and pepper, ground mustard, nutmeg, and some butter, and of course the star, bacon. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to cook up the bacon. So I'm gonna take this plate. This is about 5 strips I have here, and this skillet has been warming up so it's nice and hot, and I'm just going to place the bacon in the skillet. And I don't know if you guys are like me, but I really like the sound of bacon going into a skillet. It's just so good. So I'm just gonna place all the bacon in the skillet like this. So if you are vegetarian, a great way to make this recipe completely vegetarian friendly is to substitute the bacon with mushrooms. I think they add a really great texture to the macaroni and cheese, and you can still add something without completely leaving it out. But if you don't want to add anything, you can just leave it plain and just go with the plain mac and cheese, because this recipe, originally I learned it from my boyfriend's mom, and it didn't call for bacon. I just really like bacon, so I was like, I'm gonna throw some bacon in mine. So the bacon is cooking up here. It looks like we're about ready to flip it soon. You don't want it to be overly crisp. You do want it to be a little bit soft still, so just keep an eye on it. I'm gonna flip these guys over. I actually had bacon grease go in my eye once. That wasn't fun. So be careful when you're cooking bacon. It's dangerous business. And I also have my oven preheated to 375 degrees so we can pop it in the oven and it'll be ready to go. Now that the bacon is done, I'm just gonna turn off the heat and then set it aside so it can cool. And then we're gonna head over here and make the cheese mixture. So this is super easy to do. You just need a food processor or a blender. So the first thing that's gonna go in is the cottage cheese. And I have a cup of cottage cheese here. You wanna make sure that you're going with a, whoops, we're gonna need a spoon for that because it is not coming out. So you wanna make sure that you're going with a full fat cottage cheese and not a fat-free, because you don't want it to be overly watery. And then for the milk, I have 2 cups of whole milk, but you can also use 2% or any kind of reduced fat milk, whatever you have on hand. And that is gonna go in on top of the cottage cheese. Next is the ground mustard, and you're gonna need a teaspoon of this. So, oops, I'm all tangled up here. All right, 1 teaspoon. And you don't have to worry about being super exact. This is cooking. You can put more or less, really tailor this to your own needs. Whenever I cook, I always end up with like a completely different recipe by the time I'm finished with it, just because I'm like, oh, this sounds good, I don't like this, I'm leaving that out. So do what feels right for you. Now we have the salt, and you're going to need half a teaspoon of salt. Then you're gonna need some black pepper, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of this will do. And then for the cayenne pepper and nutmeg, you're just gonna need a pinch of each. You don't wanna put in too much cayenne because then you're gonna end up with something really spicy. Cayenne pepper goes a very long way, so be careful with it. And then last, the nutmeg. And I love using nutmeg in macaroni and cheese. I feel like it brings out a really great flavor. Most of my macaroni and cheese recipes have some kind of nutmeg in them. And I can't grab that with my finger, so we're just gonna come in with a little spoon and put that in. You're gonna need a pound of cheddar cheese for this recipe, and you can grate fresh cheese like I am, or you can use pre-shredded cheese. But I figure that since we're making something so indulgent, I should probably grate the cheese because this is gonna be like the workout part of the recipe. I'm going to be reserving about 1/4 of a cup of the grated cheese over here, and this is going to be for the topping. Now, if you want an ooey gooey, super cheesy topping, go ahead and set aside more. But I think 1/4 of a cup is a pretty good amount. So this can just go right there. And then we're gonna go back to the milk mixture here, and it's going to be blended. So I'm just gonna put on the lid, grab the little blender, stick this on, make sure everything is secure because you don't need milk and cottage cheese flying everywhere. And we're gonna give it a good blend. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Then we're just gonna take a big bowl, make sure you have something that has a lot of space in it because this can get a little bit messy. And I'm going to take the brown rice pasta, and let's see if I can open this. Ah, I can. My muscles are working today. We're just gonna pour all of the pasta. That was really all of the pasta went in the bowl. And then you just want to take your milk mixture, dump it over the top, throw in all of the cheese, and then I gotta grab the bacon. Oh, it looks good. I have my bacon here, and I'm just gonna grab it out of the pan now that it's cool and break it up into bite-sized pieces, and I'm going to eat some. Oh, this is really good. This always happens whenever I make bacon for something other than just eating it by itself. I end up like picking at pieces. It's so bad. Bacon is so good. And if you are making the vegetarian version, this is where you would be throwing in your mushrooms. I think broccoli would also taste really good in this. I think just adding something to it adds a really great texture and flavor. I'm just partial to the mushrooms. I think mushrooms are awesome in macaroni and cheese. So last piece here. Then I'm just gonna come in with a big spoon and mix everything together. This is super easy to do, and I feel like I'm experiencing a little deja vu right now because I was actually cooking in this exact same spot, doing the exact same thing with one of my girlfriends. She came over and I was making dinner, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna make some comfort food, and that's when I decided to add the bacon to this recipe, and she loved it. So this is a great thing to do if you're just having like a cozy night in, if you're having a girls' night and you just want something super easy to do, but something that's a little bit indulgent. Every pasta package is different, so you're gonna have different amounts every time. So you may need to add more milk because that's really what's gonna help cook the pasta while it's in the oven. So I just added a splash of milk to kind of make it a little bit more wet. You can see the texture of it here. It's not quite super soupy, but you can see the liquid in it. Now I'm just gonna grab my baking dish here, and we need to grease this so it doesn't stick to the sides because that is never fun. And you also kind of waste food, I feel like. I'm always like, why is it sticking to the side? I wanna eat it. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of butter here. Not too much. This isn't even a full tablespoon. This is probably about maybe a teaspoon, but you just need enough to grease your pan. And then what I like to do is I take a paper towel and I crumple it up, and then I just smother the butter everywhere. And I find that this is the easiest and cleanest way to grease a dish. Once your dish is buttered, then all you have to do is scoop in your mixture. So we have all of the macaroni in the dish, and you just want to make sure you have a nice even layer. So just kind of flatten it out. Then you just want to take some foil, and you need enough to cover the entire dish. And you want to wrap this completely, and you want to make sure that when you wrap it in the foil, you're sealing it in really tightly so the pasta is able to cook. And now we can just bring this over to the oven. so that goes in the 375-degree oven, and I'm going to set the timer for 30 minutes. And we're just gonna let it go. And then after the 30 minutes, we're gonna come back and add the cheese. All right, guys, it's been 30 minutes, and now I have on my trusty polka dot oven mitts because this is a must-have, of course. And I'm gonna grab that mac and cheese out of the oven. All right, so it's very hot, so you wanna be careful. And I have a pretty heavy dish here. This is another workout of the recipe, carrying it over. So we're just gonna take off the foil, make sure it's not hot. Peel it back like this. Looks like we have some little elbows hanging on, but that's okay. You can just toss that aside. Don't worry about it if they're sticking to the foil. Then you wanna come in with a spoon, and I'm actually gonna use a mitt here because this thing is hot. And you want to give this a good stir. You want to make sure that everything is mixed together, and because the pasta is cooking in the baking dish, this is going to help distribute the liquids in the pasta, and it already looks really good. It's super cheesy. Then we can come in with our 1/4 of a cup of reserved cheese, and we're just going to sprinkle this over the top, and this is going to make it extra cheesy. And then we're just gonna take a little bit of butter, about a tablespoon, just kind of eye it. Don't worry about being super exact. And I'm just gonna use my fingers for this, and I'm breaking up the butter and just putting little dots around the top. And this is gonna help make it nice and golden brown. It's gonna prevent the cheese from burning, and it's just gonna be bubbly, cheesy goodness. Okay, so this goes back in the oven, and you want to make sure that this time it's uncovered. So over here to Mr. Oven, who is waiting for us. Right, set that in. Okay, so that goes in the oven uncovered for another 30 minutes, and when it's finished, we're gonna be left with some yummy mac and cheese. Guys, this smells incredible, and it looks awesome too. It's golden brown and bubbly. It's going to be really hot, so I have to be careful, but I can't wait to dig in. I seriously wish that you guys could taste this with me. Okay, here we go. Going through that top layer of cheese. The pasta is fully cooked. Get a little bacon on there. I'm definitely gonna have to give this a good cool down second, because there have been many times where I've burned my tongue because I can't wait to taste something. So patience. Really good. All right, that is my macaroni and cheese recipe, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you make this yourself, I want to see your photos. So send them in on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure that you come back here to Pop Sugar Girls Guide for new episodes and lots of yummy food. So I'm gonna be here with my macaroni and cheese. I'm gonna eat this all myself. Oh, by the way, this makes for awesome leftovers. So I'm just gonna dig in, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.